Today we have a project, and the project is to add a water fountain, or not fountain, maybe waterfall feature to this little area right here, which is our hummingbird sanctuary. Okay, so how are we going to start? Well, with anything, the way that you start is you start with a plan of how big you want your waterfall in relationship to the area that you have. In our case, we wanted to have a waterfall that wasn't too big. We stayed maybe less than 2 feet above the ground, and maybe encompassed an area of about 60 square feet, something like that. So let's get started, and I'll show you the rudimentary plan that we put together. Okay, so here we have our very basic plan. What we did is we decided on a scale, in which case to fit this paper right here, we did 1 inch equals 1 foot. So as we zoom in on the paper, you can actually see that I've got my walking stones laid out pretty close. We have our trellis over there laid out pretty close. And then we have a kind of a rough guess of what we want for our water feature in relationship to the kitchen window and the patio on the side where we're at. Okay, so again, there's that kitchen window right there. And here we are in the patio looking across. Okay, and then we have some hummingbird feeders up here that are around the plants, many of them that aren't even in the ground yet, because we're trying to decide how this water feature is going to go together. Just like that. And then once the water feature starts to go together, the plants will come into play, and we'll firm that up. We have the geo blocks, or they're called echo blocks, which are the 4 geogrid style plastic blocks that we're going to be forming the basin. We have right next to it the 45 millimeter EDPM liner. We have a couple of cans of pond foam to seal the cracks between rocks and your waterfall feature, so it's directed onto the waterfall versus around it. We have a pond, it's called a canyon, but it's not a canyon. It's just a shroud that houses the pump chamber. Call it a pump chamber. We have 1.5 inch tubing, which is going to connect the pump to the overflow, which is at the top of the waterfall. We have the pump itself. This one is EV 3600. It pumps roughly around 3,000 gallons per hour. We decided to go with the energy efficient unit. And then last one is the waterfall spillway, which is the very top waterfall. And that's all the materials that we have. And last thing is that this bad boy right here is going to dig it for us, so we don't have to hurt our backs. I've got my echo block lined out. Notice that the pump chamber is in the middle. I set the pump on the echo blocks just to show you that it comes with a lot of cord. This brand has roughly 20 to 25 feet of cord. I'm only 6 feet away, so life is good for me, and it'll work fine, but that's something that's a consideration that you need to have when you are planning your pond. Also have some upside down paint here. so I can mark this out so I don't have to over excavate too much and spend too much time playing with dirt. So here we go. Over excavate just because the pond liner isn't real super flexible, and it allows me to also put more rocks in around it to increase the volume of water this thing's going to hold. Okay. Okay, now we've got the rough grade done of the bottom of our sump for the pond well, pondless actually, well. I've got my echo blocks in the trench right here. I've got a level right here, and I got a tape measure. Like, remember what I said? We want to be about 6 inches below the echo block, and we want to make the bottom of this somewhat level. And this is why I brought out my 4-foot level right here. Got my flat shovel and tape measure. Now, right now I can tell you, I'm actually at 6 inches right here. And that was by accident. I didn't add any dirt, or I didn't take away any dirt. I just smoothed it off down in here. So because I know where that is right now, I'm gonna remove my echo block, and I'm gonna make sure that it's level down here just by setting my level down. Okay. So I have to clean up just a little bit more, and then I'm going to put in the liner. Okay, so now you're thinking to yourself, what is that man doing? And the answer is that after you have the liner down under these geo blocks, okay, and you've got everything laid out inside here to know what that well, if you will, space is. You don't want any more dirt in this pond bottom as much as you can help it, because it just gets sucked up into the to pump, and it ends up ruining it over a period of time. So try to contain the inside of your pond liner as much. Try not to get any dirt in it. So that's why I've got these rocks up here holding that down. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the inside of this to hold the geo blocks tight. So we're going to do that right now. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like after we backfilled it. And that's before any rocks have been laid to start the waterfall. So the next step, we're going to get our plumbing on, and we're going to hook up the pump to that tubing right there, and then we'll fill in the basin with its final rock, so to speak, and put the cap back on, weave the cord from the pump to where the electrical outlet is, and then at that point, then we'll start the next phase, which is starting to build the actual waterfall. So assembly of the plumbing is fairly straightforward and simple. First, you have your choice of 2 types of hot glue. They call it hot glue because basically it's got a primer inside, and it sets up rather quickly. Both of them are medium bodied glue, and you can take your choice, either one. Hacksaw is important. So let's go take a look and see what I've done. And we will talk about how I put it together without having you have to watch me cut. Okay. I want you to notice that I've got a union in here. The purpose of this union right here is so you can take out that pump, which is at the bottom down there. Okay, can you see that? Okay. So all of this is going to be submerged, and the electrical cord, of course, is waterproof. So you can snake that across through into here, up and around, and finally to the electrical outlet. One thing I want to talk about gluing this real quick, and that is when you are assembling this, the tubing and these fittings, remember that they are what they call interference fit. They'll go together dry, but it's very, very snug. That's why they call it that. So when you're gluing it, you want to make sure not to apply too much glue, because if you do, for example, on this union, it's possible to glue the union together and you won't be able to get it apart. So be careful, okay? Also, you don't want to have too much glue on that fitting down there where the pump is, because that can go inside the pump and ruin those impellers. So you want to put enough glue on there to affect the joint, but you don't want to just liberally push it onto where you're actually pushing the glue out of the cup of the fitting. Okay, there we go. This is where I've left off since the last time. Didn't get a chance to show you the actual placement of the rocks, but as you can see, what we have here is we have the spillway rock, which is this guy, and these both guys on the sides are frame rocks. I had stair-stepped the dirt on the back side of it, so that way when I'm sealing these rocks, and I'll show you that in a little while, you'll see how the importance of stair-stepping it is, so you can seal the back side against it, so you don't have to have too much water leakage, so you can get more waterfall. So we'll get closer to the rocks. Okay. The bottom right here are covered with most of the rock right now. Some of that, the pond hose is going up here, tubing actually. And I've actually put the spillway on top. The way that this is going to work is that, let's see here. See that outlet right there? Right here. I'm going to cut a hole in the liner. Then I'm going to take that nut off right there. Then I'll put some silicone around that, put it back on, tighten it from the other side to seal it up, then lift up the liner around the back side all the way across and seal it up here too. That's how that's going to work. And then from there, I'll flip up this and put a little bit more dirt up on here, and we'll start sealing the inside of the crevices in here. Then see how it works. Here's something that was kind of unexpected, but I kind of understood what happened, and I'll just give you a little bit of history. On my last videos, you noticed that the liner was cut rather short up against the rocks. What I found is that I had several leaks because I did that. So lesson learned, keep your liner long, keep testing it to make sure that you don't have any leaks. Now I have to kind of pick up where I left off. Obviously, all the take apart, put back together again, it's all in the same area. It's just a liner that's changed. Yesterday I started trimming the EDPM liner, rubber liner. So on the right side here, what I had done is I had folded it down and then brought the dirt up against it. Notice that the liner is always higher than the next fall below it. So that way there's no leaks. That's what I fixed last time. So we worked on the falls yesterday, and then today we're going to finish this up, and we'll maybe get into a few plantings today. We'll see what happens. So this is the finished product. As you can see, we've landscaped and put down some bark. We'll come in closer so we can take a look at the different pieces and parts. So here's the Pondless Waterfall. It's got the receipt. It's now got all the gravel all nice. This took about 2 weeks to do on our own. We're not professionals, but it did turn out pretty good. And then the only little problem right now is I got to get some electrical hooked up. There is an outlet on the other side of that post. We just got to make it happen.